All right, y'all. This is my breakdown of the March 17th, 1990 fight between Julio Cesar Chavez and Meldrick Taylor. Real quick, just to give a little backdrop for those who don't know, Meldrick Taylor was a high level fighter, guys. He won the gold medal at featherweight in 1984. Not too long before this fight, he had knocked out Buddy McGirt for the IBF Junior Welterweight Championship. And for those of y'all who know, Buddy McGirt was a dog, so to knock Buddy out was a big deal. Not necessarily beating him, but to knock Buddy out definitely say something. Meldrick Taylor had exceptional speed, exceptional power, and electric combinations. Philly boy, come out of Philadelphia. But in spite of all that, he was still a heavy underdog against Chavez, okay? And his record was 24-0-1 at the time, so he was definitely in the prime of his life. It was Superfight for sure. Now, Julio Cesar Chavez, his name speaks for itself. You're talking about a Mexican legend. He was already a legend before that fight. The guy was 66-0 and currently the WBC Junior Welterweight Champion. Now, the thing about Chavez is his style and his way of going about it. So many people believe that Chavez wasn't as skilled as he was. He had this kind of like bar fight thing where it looked like that's what he was doing, but really it was a lot of skill. He had a lot of Henry Armstrong in him, a lot of head steering, as you see right there, a lot of shoulder pinning. This is the type of tactics that Chavez used on the inside. So he was a high level fighter. I just want everybody to know that. Okay, to the fight. The fight was actually one of the best fights in the history of the sport. Definitely lived up to the huge billing that it had. Definitely lived up to the hype. It was pleasing from beginning to end, honestly. Although it was entertaining, it wasn't going as expected. That's the reality of it, because people really had Chavez beating Taylor and beating him pretty clean. So, to the contrary, Taylor came out blazing, blistering pace. I actually gave him the first 4 rounds, when I watched it. Now, a note to the pace. Taylor's corner claimed that they told him to take it easy a little bit. They said they believed that Taylor wouldn't be able to knock Chavez out, and so they wanted him to kind of just settle down and be prepared to fight 12 rounds. I bring that up because his corner said something else. We'll get to that later. But back to the fight. As it continued, Taylor really continued to dominate and really win most of the rounds. Jim Lampley said he actually gave Taylor the first 9 rounds. You believe in that? Chavez supporters also believe the same thing, similar, if not more actually, because they said that they had Taylor in charge for the first 10 rounds. Yeah. So he was really getting out on Chavez, and in his corner, as the fight started to wane on, his corner started to plead with him, saying, Julio, you got to do it for your family, do it for your country. So yeah, it was definitely some despair and some alarm, because again, no one had seen a person get out on Chavez like this and then stay out on him. So it was definitely a big deal. And the people at the fight also observed that Chavez's shots were starting to take a toll on old Taylor. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because I told you in the beginning how Chavez had that Henry Armstrong approach, and he was real heavy-handed, a lot of flat shots, meaning wrist down, and Chavez delivered some bone-crunching blows. And the people at the fight felt like these shots were starting to, really show on Taylor, because although he was winning, he didn't look like it. He was actually looking bad. He got beat up. He was looking beat up, and that's not how the fight was going. He was like watching that he was winning, but looking at him, he's losing. So it was definitely like a conundrum for the people that was there. And that takes me back to Chavez, because like I told you, he was a dog. He had that don't give up, stay disciplined to what he does, win, lose, or draw type of mentality, and his will kept him chopping at that tree. And eventually, he got where he wanted to go. The second note I wanted to bring up here, and I think this is important, is that fighters like to throw flurries and throw little combos and things like that. Now, the problem with that is you got to do that type of stuff all night. It's not like in other sports where after you make a good play, you get a break. It's not like, you throw a 1-2 hook clean and now you get to come out the ring for a minute, get some Gatorade. It's not like that. In boxing, you got to fight to the bell. So, with that being said, I like to teach my guys to fight and punch until the guy's not there, essentially. Like the combination never ends. And why I like that is because you got to stay offensive and you really got to get after guys. So, looking at this matchup, I believe that Taylor did a lot of great work but stayed close enough to get touched after. So he didn't take the Pernell Whitaker approach where you do that great work and then you're getting out where you're not close enough to get hit, or you're slipping inside, staying there. Like, that was a good slip there by Taylor, but obviously he didn't do it consistently enough because he took a lot of shots. So that was my other point. Like, for your fighters, work until you can't work no more. Don't be the type of guy to hit somebody and look at them. And also, if you're not going to take that approach, be prepared to move your feet after you finish punching. So yeah, just remember that. Okay, so back to the fight now. We're going to go right to the 12th round. Now, Lou Duva said he told Taylor to dance, all right? He told him to come out dancing ballerina style, essentially. Like, don't even throw a punch. Just move, move, move. Now, here is the dilemma. They had an audio, as a lot of you know who already know the story, but they had an audio of the corner. And in the corner, you can hear Duva as well as the other assistant coach telling Taylor he needed to go fight and that he needed to go win this round. Now, remember, I told you already that most people had him winning 9 rounds already out of 12. So obviously, he didn't need to go win anything. So with that kind of instruction coming from your coach, it's definitely not good, and obviously not good advice at the time. So that's really the thing. So when we get to that point in the fight, I'm going to play it a few times. I just want you guys to take a look at it. You're going to see it. And the next part I want to bring up is Richard Steele. People brought Steele into the mix, very much so. Now, I know he got a duplicitous pass, and because of that, it's going to raise eyebrows when he's, making a call like this. I get it. He said that when he looked at the boy's face, the boy looked like he couldn't go on, He said he didn't know what was going on. He asked him something twice, and he didn't respond properly. And so with that being said, he said he had to stop that fight. Now, a few things happened during that time. One, Richard Steele never looked at the bell behind Meldrick Taylor, so he didn't know that it was less than 10 seconds left, so it wasn't like the boy was going to have to keep fighting. So he could have had a discernment call there and just say, well, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And 2, another problem by Taylor's corner is Lou Duva hopped up on the apron immediately. And when he did that, as you'll see, Taylor looked at him. And then looking at him and not paying attention to Steele, maybe that gave Steele the perception that Taylor didn't know what was going on. Boom. You see that shot? It's a big shot, especially after all that. Look, that's how he went down, man. Like a deck of cards. You're going to see it again. So, yeah. Now, in the aftermath, many people believe Taylor just fell apart, but I'm going to tell you he didn't. He actually won a few fights. He moved up to welterweight and beat a guy named Aaron Davis for the WBA welterweight title. So he actually became a champion again and fought about 3 more times after that. It wasn't until he ran into Terry Norris that he had real problems, and Terry Norris kind of got him out of there. So, yeah, that was my take on this fight. I wanted to say that I didn't think Richard Steele was the problem. I didn't think Don King played any kind of role. I think the main thing was Taylor's approach, not working, not getting space and separation, and I thought his corner absolutely sabotaged him. So that's my take on it. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Peace.